Hey, I'm Patty Wilson. I'm co-host of Patty's Playhouse, and I just left the trial about 5 o'clock, so I didn't wait till it was completely finished. My eyes don't look kooky. Oops, much better. Some ambiance. So I'm not used to this, but I'm using StreamYard because I use it when oh, it's nice, when I teach real estate. And I left the trial about 5 o'clock, 5:15. I had an appointment to be on a radio show at a church, a local church, Four Oaks, the Four Oaks in Midtown. I was on the radio show. I was supposed to be on a YouTube show later, and I got locked in. So I finished my radio part for the parade, the Veterans Day Parade. I'm the vice president of the board for the Veterans Day Parade. And I go to leave, and I'm locked in. And I was supposed to be on a YouTube for Surviving the Survivor YouTube video streaming with, well, I'll give you their names in a little bit, but it was a couple of attorneys, a private investigator, and then the moderator. I'm locked into this church in the basement. So my sound, my mic wasn't very good. And then, didn't know this, the power just goes out. Luckily, I'd sent a text first and said, please help me. I'm in the church. There was someone still upstairs and he let me out. So it was nice. But now I'm in my office where I'm normal. Look, my little fake fireplace got it going. So just a few thoughts of the trial. So Charlie Adelson is a gentleman from, and that's a stretch right now, from Fort Lauderdale and Boca area, North Miami. And he is, let me go just a little bit. He is being charged with conspiracy to commit a murder. So 9.5 years ago now, July 18th, 2014, Dan Markel, who was an attorney and a professor at FSU, a brilliant professor. He had a clerkship with the Court of Appeals. He'd written numerous papers, had been cited all over the country about punishment and how they believe like punishment of the criminals should take place. And he lived in a little community called Benton Hills, which is very upscale. It's always been kind of upscale forever. I mean, since I've lived here, plus, because it's always been a place where FSU professors live. It's tree lined, it's established. Not every home is cookie cutter. A lot of mid-century modern. It's very eclectic, and it's a great location to get around town. Not far from FSU, probably about 5 miles. So he was coming home from the gym and dropping his kids off, and he entered his garage, and a gentleman a criminal came up behind him and shot him in the head. Now, not the head, but like his face. So I believe it was the cheek and then his forehead. Couple shots. What I didn't know until sitting in the trial was he lived for 14 hours. Now he was comatose. But the torture that is, as a former nurse, I don't think people realize. You're not alive, but you're alive, right? It's torturous for the family. I don't know if they were able to see him or I don't know anything. I met the family since visiting the trial, and all I can tell you about Mrs. Markel, have not met Mr. Markel, is she is a saint. She's patient. She is present. She is kind. And when I think of her, I think of like the Bible Ruth, and I think noble. I think she's a very noble woman who has been living a life of torture for 10 years. Where she doesn't know the ending. She doesn't know the outcome. It's quite sad, right? So I met her the other night, and she's a book signing. I bought her book, which I'm going to add a link to the book in the YouTube. And I hope you buy it, because think about it. They have to travel. They're Canadian. So they're driving from Canada or flying in from Canada, staying in a hotel. They don't know how long. The cost of that. The cost of the Canadian dollar versus the American dollar right now, she told me it was 30%. So I felt like buying a book, which I'm going to buy a couple more for Christmas, is one little way that we can help support this family who's really been hugged by our community. So today was day 5. The prosecution rested yesterday, and now it is the defense's turn. And they ended early yesterday so that they could do it. Wow. Daniel Rashbaum is their attorney, and I looked him up. He is a white-collar attorney, white-collar crime, like extortion or, I don't know, RICO maybe, a lot of banking issues, wire fraud. He does a lot of that. He has a very well-established name in South Florida, and he's won quite a few cases for white-collar criminals. Charlie Adelson is not charged for a white-collar crime. They're trying to make it out to be a white-collar crime, but it's not. They're trying to say that he was extorted by the extorters. Like, it's like a double extortion. This really doesn't make any sense. So it started today, and Daniel Rashbaum presently, like, I don't know if you can see on TV, he is not a tall man. His stature is very slight. Charlie, when standing next to him, looks like my hands right now. Like, he's massive. He's probably a good 5 foot tall on a good day. Charlie's probably 6 foot, 6'1". He's slight in build, like he's still very trim, but his face compared to when he was arrested a year and 4 months ago, his face is very puffy. So I don't know if he's medicated. I kind of think he is. I worked at the jail 20 years ago as an agency nurse, and you would wake the jailies. So you wake the jailies up. They wake them up, like staff deputies wake them up. And I was a nurse, so I would go around and fill meds, like at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, which is their morning meds. And a lot of people that were headed into trial were on medications. Do I know if he is? No. Is my observation that he is? Yes. My observation is he looks medicated because his affect, the way he's a normal person, but he's so straight, calm, and that is not his normal. If you've listened to any of the audio, he is very dynamic. He is very emotive. He emotes there's a lot of emotion coming out of him, and he talks a lot. Like, he has not interrupted this attorney once. Like, I would do that. Like, I'm an overtalker. I work on it, especially if I know people. I'm an overtalker. He has not overtalked. He has not misrecollected. His attorney has misrecollected. He got the 23rd and the 25th wrong of June when a letter was sent. You see his other little attorneys, Sarah, I think her name is Catherine Sarah, or it's Catherine is her name. And she's walking around and leaving a little post-it because he'd make mistakes. It's a mess. I think this whole theory of his defense is that, well, I'll tell you what it is. He is saying that his girlfriend talked too much. Catherine McBanawha talked way too much about the brother-in-law. The brother-in-law is Dan Markel. Talked way too much. He said at some point, or the family said, we're going to offer him $1 million to move down to South Florida. Really, just travel back and forth. He'll have enough money. Travel back and forth, his big job with FSU. Travel back and forth whenever he had to work or when he had a conference. The man was tenure. You just can't leave, right? So travel back and forth to Tallahassee from Miami. and he could afford it. That's what they do in session. That's what Charlie said today. That's what the reps do when they're traveling back and forth to Tallahassee. But this would be for the rest of his life, right? It's not just 3 months a year like we have session in Florida. When the legislature comes to Tallahassee, it's not how it works. So they were going to go up there, unbeknownst to Charlie. Charlie had no idea, right? And kill him, shoot him in the head. And then go back and extort $30 million from Charlie. They knew Charlie had $1 million, or his family did, because there was $1 million offer that was really never made to Dan, but was made. I don't understand. And now we're going to go kill him. We're just going to drive to Tallahassee. And Luis Rivera and Siegfried Garcia, is it Siegfried Garcia? Yeah. So Siegfried was the ex-boyfriend, baby daddy of Catherine McBanawa, who is the current girlfriend of Dan Markel. Luis Rivera, who is in a gang, but illiterate. He can't read. People haven't, I'm hoping that Georgia Kappelman, the prosecutor, brings that up. He cannot read. He didn't just like all of a sudden decide, I am going to, let me go on a map here, and I'm going to go to Tallahassee, and I'm going to do some recon. And then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to go back up in a different car, and I'm going to shoot the guy in his driveway. And then I'm going to come back to you, and you didn't even really like him because that's why you're offering $1 million for him to relocate. You thought he was milquetoast and had no personality. And now you're going to come back down, Luis and Siegfried, Tato and Tuto, or whatever it is. And we're going to shoot him in the head, right? We're going to drive the whole way back down. And then we're going to extort $30 million from you. Well, why would I do that? My man's already killed. You didn't kill him. What do I have over you? I have nothing over you. You have something over me, but I have nothing over you. The premise of the crime was that Charlie allegedly gave Catherine McBanawa what we thought was $100,000. What we now have learned is $138,000 stapled cash to kill, to hit, to murder and slaughter the man in the garage, the brother-in-law. Because now the sister-in-law is able to move down. So the man is 14 hours later, he's allowed to pass away, bless his soul. Wendy gets called in. So Wendy now, there's the whole story. I talked about it the other day. Wendy goes in and she does her bit with the police and she moves south. So today was, I don't even think in the 8 hours that Daniel Rashbaum, the attorney, spoke to Charlie Adelson, they even got to the murder yet. I think the whole thing was been 8 hours of a supposed extortion plot. Again, if I have $1 million and I offer someone $1 million to move, you know I have $1 million. I never said I had 30. What dentist has $30 million? Very few. Periodontist, very few, unless they owned a lot of real estate. He owned some real estate. Charlie had a limousine business. He's not making $30 million. And then let's pretend this is true. They go up, do the killing, come back. We want $30 million, but we'll take $3,000 a month. But it doesn't go against the principle. It's just enough to keep us happy so we don't kill you. $3,000. And then Catherine McBanawa was like, don't give me the whole $3,000. I need a check because I need to prove some sort of income so I can get my children insurance. So I'm taking a check for work I didn't do. And $2,000 is going to go to the extortionists. Right? My hands are huge, just like Charlie next to the guy. The extortionists, Siegfried and Luis, and this is all supposed to make sense to 15 people. So currently there's 12 people who will sit on the jury, the final deliberation. And then there's 3 alternates. I wish I knew who those alternates were. I wish. The jury in the beginning of Charlie's presentation, we'll call it a presentation, because that's what it is. It's like reading this box. I'm going to read the box, and I'm just going to hope you believe what I say is on the box is true. It's ridiculous. So 3 alternates, if everyone passes and no one gets kicked off for talking about the trial, 3 go away. 3 go home. The 12 stay. They do the full deliberations. Hopefully we get a conviction right away. So the jury is like, I'm kind of like behind the lectern, which again, I do not know why the defense's lectern is right next to the jury. Like, your side is the other side of the courtroom. And I wanted to ask an attorney today, but I didn't get a chance, but I really want to know that. And so he's like probably 8 inches away from the jury, maybe a foot. He's not really talking to the jury. He's talking only to Charlie. So he's not, to me, I watch a lot of TV. Attorney Rashbaum should be engaging with the jury. He's not. He's turning around and looking at the gallery. I don't understand this guy. So he's not looking at the jury. He's not walking around. He's completely stuck to this podium asking questions. Charlie is flat as hell. He is so flat. He's like, yes, my mother was scared. My father was scared. I was scared. What they don't know is there was a piece of evidence that didn't get placed in front of the jury as evidence. He was going to go buy a go-kart. It was a dream. He was living his best life. I almost kind of wish that got put in, because the man was going to buy a go-kart. What kind of scaredy cat guy goes and buys a go-kart when you got a Latin king and another guy who knows I'm sleeping with his girl? Who goes and buys a go-kart? You're hiding out. You're like laying low. Charlie is not. He's at sushi bars, taco bars, every bar. Donna, the mom, she's at the park. She's at the park with the grandchildren. Can I tell you how heartbreaking that was? I don't know how much time I've been on here. YouTube, limits. It's over time, 17 minutes. So I have like 13 minutes. So they're playing conversations with Donna, and Daniel Rashbaum is only trying to save his client. So I give him some leeway to this. Mrs. Markell, Ruth, left earlier in the day when this Charlie Adelson started yakking and didn't really ever come back. Mr. Markell is there and he's taking notes. I don't know if he's taking notes because someone suggested he could be writing a book. If he's taking notes because if he doesn't do something, he might lose his brain. I don't know. I know that he and his daughter are passing notes back and forth, like they can't even believe this is happening. But they're playing the audio of Donna in the park because she's so scared with the boys in the background. So the 2 Markell boys, you remember that woman, Wendy, changed their name. She didn't just change their surname. She changed the middle name of one of the children because it was one of the Markell's family names. So her whole thing on that was Nancy Grace showed my kid's picture, so I need to go take a year to change their name. That's just nothing these people say is true. And it's almost beyond facetious. It's so like condescending. You feel so condescended when you're listening to them. Like, who are you to question us? Like, so I don't know. It's very sad. But so Donna's voice is coming across the audio, the speaker. They couldn't get the tech work to do. Why Rashbaum or his firm didn't send up a tech guy or hire a tech guy is, again, beyond the pale. Like, I had technical difficulties today. I told you that. But they were really beyond my control. Like, the power goes out, right? I'm stuck. I was supposed to get a haircut. I was supposed to get my neck shaved. It was a mess. Donna in a park with 2 kids. If you think you're being extorted, let's just play. I'm just Patty. I've got my grandchildren. I think I'm being extorted. It's like some stranger who says he's a Latin king shows up on a sidewalk right outside 2 blocks away from my kids' elementary school. Do you think I'm going to take those kids to a park? Because I don't know who these people are. They said they're Latin kings. I live in South Florida. I know what Latin kings would be. And you're riding around with a park? You're like, hey, honey, don't be loud. Grandpa's going to be here. Are these people? They just think we are so dumb in Tallahassee that we can't see beyond that. I have no idea what the jury's going to do, but that last audio was enough for me to go like, I'm really, this is hard to take. Like, this is hard for you to spell out slowly. Like, it's so slow. I think that whole cross, 3 hours, be out. You become a tipping point when you talk too much, like me. I'm watching the clock now. Now I know where it is. You're a tipping point. People get bored. If you don't have an affect and move your head around and talk in different tones of voice and raise your hands and act like you care, they're gone. And you could watch the jury slowly lay back, like this. Not look at him, looking around. One girl was so funny. She's up front. So I don't know if they are like what's going to be the final jury in the deliberations. I think there are 9 of them. And she's got real pretty nails, like they're super long. So I'm going to demonstrate. She's like this. No lie, she's reading her palm. She's like this. I'm like, are you measuring your hand? Like, are you trying to think about what does $138,000 feel like when it goes into your purse? That was the other thing Charlie said today. He said that he opened his safe and gave Catherine McBanoa $138,000, which he did admit it was stapled. Booyah. And she just took that money. I didn't bring my purse in. And just threw it in her purse. I can't. How much does 138,000 weigh? Like, truly. She said it wasn't just hundreds. It was hundreds, tens, 20s, and 50, or tens, hundreds, 20s, and 50s. So how much does that weigh? Somebody's gonna have to tell me. She's just carrying it around in her purse. Like, open, didn't mention an envelope, didn't mention anything. Didn't mention the sealed, no, nothing. No manila. It was crazy. The whole thing was crazy today. I learned a lot. I learned that presentation counts. I learned that you can really bore people to death. And I learned that people try to read their hands. Like, she's like, I can't tell, like, her nails are longer than mine, right? So she's like this. She's like stretching her nails. I can't blame her. I'm glad I'm not in the jury. What else happened? So the boredom of it, the breaks, technical difficulties for Rashbaum. The judge was kind of losing his patience. He doesn't want the citizens to be charged, the cost of running the courthouse. And he doesn't want the jurors to be wasting their time while he's trying to figure out technical, which he already admitted he can't work a computer or a video or an audio or the audio video. Can't work any of it. But the whole premise that I'm being extorted for $30 million and I'm going to pay the extortionists $3,000 a month to keep them off my back, but yet I'm going to still stay on friendly terms with her. I'm going to buy McBanoa. This was some of her layout. She got $3,000 a month. They got the 138. She got $3,000 a month after that. She got a boob job. He offered her hotel rooms and gifts and gift cards at the Keys. He offered her a cruise. He sent her and her mother, I think, to the Dominican. Paid for her kids' insurance. Paid for school tuition. Paid for who knows what else. What else? You still end up going to lunch. You spent a 40-minute walk on the beach, he said today. A 40-minute walk on the beach with Catherine McVanoa, who's extorting you for $30 million, whose ex-boyfriend is best friends with the Latin King, and you're just walking on an open beach for 40 minutes. I don't know. I pray. Like, I'm a prayerful person. I think that shocks people, that they can see through the calm demeanor of Charlie Adelson and see through the sheer boredom of the attorney and know that he's lying. No one who's scared, like I stay at work like late at night when I'm the only one in this complex of warehouses. So we have a warehouse because we have furniture next door. And when I leave here, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm packing and I'm leaving. I'm not walking for 40 minutes to see if someone can catch up with me. Now, if I thought a Latin King even knew my name, I would have an escort to my truck, and my truck is right outside the door. How does that make sense? How does Donna's BS in the park with two kids that she basically stole away from their father? How does that make sense? I know I'm preaching to the choir. I hope everybody understands that not everything is real. And just because someone says it and they put it up on a screen doesn't make it real. Think Murdaugh. And he's a lot more pleasant than Murdaugh. Alex Murdaugh was very unlikable and very arrogant, but this guy's just as arrogant, just as snobby, and he's a prick. Like, if I saw him on the street, I'd be like, and he talked to me the way he's a prick. That's my word for him. They thought that their shit didn't stink and that those kids, Adelson, Donna, deserved those grandchildren, and she was going to take them if she didn't get them. It's just unbelievable. So I hope you learned something. I hope you're able to watch the rest of the trial and just have a great day and go enjoy your family, right? And if you are in a contentious divorce, take a deep breath. That's what I'll do my next video on. I was in a horrible, contentious divorce. Tim Jansen, local attorney, I had to use him. That's how horrible and contentious my divorce was. And I will do a next video on that. So take care. Have a great Thursday night. Go hug your loved ones. Thanks so much.